Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys had a good night like I did. It was nice to sleep at a real camp spot for once. I had a shower here, so it was nice to get a good shower in. So to start our day off, I figured we'll go ahead and get our tires aired up to normal highway pressures, since that's all we seem to be doing is riding on normal roads. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything aired up. We'll go ahead and get started rolling down the road. We'll regas, and we'll pick up the trail back where we left off yesterday. Made it back to the tap, so I decided to go ahead and skip gas for the moment. We're only about 20 miles away from Fayetteville, Tennessee, so we'll go ahead and get gas there. That way we can maintain a fueling schedule similar to what the map talks about with its fuel stops. That way we can just be sure we're topped off before we get back on the trail. So let's go ahead and head that way. I tell you what, it feels nice to be back in the woods again. It's nice riding on the back roads and everything, but this is a lot more fun to me. So I went ahead and filled up at Fayetteville, Tennessee. So our next stop will be Elkton, Tennessee. Just now made our way into Elkton. We're actually passing over the interstate right now, Interstate 65. Nothing much as far as I can tell around here, at least on these back roads and getting into Elkton. But the next place will be Pulaski, Tennessee. So we're gonna keep on rolling that way. Just made it to Pulaski, Tennessee. It looks like we're gonna be eating some miles up today. The next stop is Lawrenceburg. Check this out. I know it's nothing really too special, but man, they have clear cut all this when they were out here logging. So I decided to get out and stretch my legs for a few minutes. We're still continuing our way into Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. It is quite warm out here and flat. It's just mostly rolling hills right now. Found a cool place to stop. It's Mount Zion. There's actually a church and a big cemetery just over there. It's actually a nice little spot. It's got like a natural water crossing right there. You can come down here by the water and you can see some of the little fish. Be a great place to take lunch. Made it to Lawrenceburg. Had an interesting trip through the woods there. Had a couple of creek crossings. So we'll be continuing on our way into Collinswood, Tennessee. I think we got some river crossings perhaps, because I've seen a couple like little waypoints that talked about crossings. So we'll see what happens when we get there. So I found another water crossing. This one was actually noted on the map over here in Tennessee. Nothing too crazy. Looks, I don't know, maybe about a foot deep in some spots. So after our river crossing, I wasn't sure if it was going to have any more gravel roads or not, because most of the day today and yesterday had been on, paved roads. But it seems to be that today is going to be mostly gravel. That seems to be the flavor of the day. So usually when you take a turn on the Tat, it's usually a pretty decent sized, gravel road, or something pretty pronounced, right? Well, there's a right turn here, and around the corner, it turns back to the left. I'm looking at the track, and we have to turn up in here, which is usually not the kind of roads that we turn onto. So we'll have to see where this goes, if this is correct or if the GPS track line is a little off. So it turns out that even though it had a kind of a smaller entrance to it, it's turned back into like they usually are. So I've been continuing on the same road since the last I talked to you, and it's been kind of rough here and there, but it's mostly been just kind of this gravel like you see, where it bounces the vehicle around a little bit, but nothing too severe, right? Nothing like we've been into or anything. So my gut instinct says, get out, check tire pressures, right? Might as well go ahead and lower them a couple of PSI to make the ride a little smoother. Well, I get out and check. They're actually higher than what I left them at this morning. So that means they're getting hot, which means they're too high on the pressure for the road. So the front ones, they were all 35 PSI when I left this morning when I aired them up. The front ones were at 37, 38, and the rear were at 40 PSI. So in a little bit of driving on this style road, they had gotten warm enough to increase almost 5 PSI all the way around, which is a signal that you'd slow down and air down a little bit more, which I wasn't going fast to begin with because I don't want to jar the vehicle around. So I went ahead and aired all my tires down to 30 PSI, so that way if we find asphalt again, I don't have to worry about trying to air up immediately. Just made it to Collinwood, Tennessee, so we're gonna roll in to get some fuel and whatever else we need while we're in town, and then continue on the trail some more. It's 2 o'clock right now locally, so I'm gonna be looking for somewhere to camp before too long, or at least trying to get an idea of where we're gonna camp. Well, we got our road closed, so now we're gonna have to detour around. I'm not sure exactly what that's gonna mean, but I'll let you know when we get there. Turns out if we just keep following this road, we'll end up to the other side of the track. Check this out, we made it to the Tennessee River. That's more like a lake than a river to me. That thing is massive. So just right next to the Tennessee River is the little town of Waterloo, which is where we're passing through right now. The plan for tonight is there's a state park not too far from Sam's house. I believe it's Sam Carrera's house. That's probably maybe another 30 to 40 minutes away, hopefully. That's where I plan to stay tonight anyways. So I'm over here next to the Tennessee River, just going straight up and down these little switchbacks. I have to say, these switchbacks are pretty steep little things for just being a gravel road that, you know, anybody can drive on. They've been basically going straight up and then straight back down. Like first gear straight up and straight down. Ooh, bit of a view there. So here I am driving down, you know, middle of nowhere, back roads again, of course, and trying to make my way to the state park. I'm going to skip some of the trail in order just to get to camp because it's getting late, and it's probably going to be like another hour or two if I was going to go by the trail. We can pick it up tomorrow morning, not a big deal. But as I was going, I see this young girl standing on the side of the road pointing at something, right? And I'm like, what the fuck are they pointing at? And I drive by, and I don't see it until I pass them. They were pointing at a lemonade sign. So I think to myself, you know what? Some lemonade sounds really nice. It's been a long, hot day, you know, driving. So I turn around, pull up, honk my horn, and say, ring, ring. And their grandmother's, I assume it's your grandmother standing there, you know, she's like, oh, would you like some lemonade? And I was like, yeah. You know, I asked the young girls, it's like, you having good business today? And they're like, oh, yeah. And I got a cup of lemonade, you know, $1, of course. And turns out it was, you know, really good. But she said that they were raising money for a puppy. I didn't hear her the first time, and I asked again. She said, yeah, they're raising money to get themselves a puppy, because it's like these 2 sisters, right? Well, I told him in that case, here's $2. So that way you can get you one, because I said one day I want to get me one too. So that was a fun little interaction. So let's go ahead and work our way into camp and bed down for the night if we can. Check this out. There's a massive power plant over there and a dam right there. So we ended up having to go to a different camp spot tonight. I was going to stay at the state park campsite, but they ended up being completely booked up. I should have called in advance. Unfortunately I didn't, and when I got there I had a rude surprise waiting. So that's not a big deal. There was a couple more around here. They were all full. There was this one that was actually a bit of a drive away that ended up being completely open as far as more places to camp, and it's actually got a better view than the state park one. The state park, you had to walk to the lake, at least that's what I could tell. You couldn't actually camp literally at the lake. So I just got set up camp, had a bit for dinner, strung my hammock up. Now I'm just relaxing, enjoying the day. I definitely got to start stopping sooner if I want to enjoy myself more, because right now it was like 7 o'clock before we stopped. That's a lot of hours, you know. That's like 11, 12 hours worth of driving. That's more than I want to do. On another note, it looks like we'll be getting into Mississippi and Arkansas tomorrow, I believe. Definitely Mississippi, because we're right next to Memphis, roughly. We're not too far away from that, so we should be finishing up Tennessee here before too long. I know tomorrow we'll definitely be crossing into Mississippi. Well, that's going to wrap it up for me. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Hope you guys enjoyed yours. We'll see you tomorrow. Like and subscribe.